Math Lesson 213, Finding the Pattern. Let's begin with some review problems. Pause the video and solve these problems on your dry erase boards. Okay, let's go over the answers. Find multiples of 5 starting with 25. Multiples of 5 are the products we can get when multiplying by 5. And we start with 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and so on. Finding multiples of 4, the products we can get when multiplying by 4, starting with 16. 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. How many minutes in 8 hours? I need to know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. I need to do 8 times 60. I use my base fact of 8 times 6 equals 48 to help me. 8 times 6 tens will give me 48 tens, or 480. 480 minutes in an hour. Two properties of this triangle. It has one right angle, that would be here, two acute angles, and one set of perpendicular sides. This side is perpendicular to this side. Pause the video and solve the problems you see on the screen on your dry erase board. Okay, let's go over the answers. Draw all the arrays for 24. Well, I can have a 1 by 24 array. Turned on its side would be 24 rows of 1. 2 by 12. Turn that on its side and I have 12 by 2. 3 by 8. Or 8 by 3, and 4 by 6, turned on its side is 6 by 4. All the factors for 24 I can get from these arrays. One, 24, 2, and 12. 3 and 8, 4 and 6. These are all my factors for 24. To solve this problem, first I need to figure out what half the price would be for a pack of chocolate chip cookies and half the price for a pack of lemon cookies. And I'm going to be buying 4 of each kind of cookie. 75 cents is half price for the $1.50 chocolate chip cookies. So I need to do 4 times 75. The cookies that cost $1, half price would be 50 cents. I'm buying 4 of them, so 4 times 50. I do what's in my parentheses first, and then I add those two together to get my total. How can I do 4 times 75 easily? Let me think about the break apart strategy. I'll break 75 into 70 and 5 to make my multiplication easier. Because I can do 4 times 70 and I can do 4 times 5. 280 plus 20 gives me 300. 4 times 50 will give me 200. 300 plus 200 will give me 500, or $5. Pause the video and solve these two problems. Okay, how many lines of symmetry in the rectangle? I can divide my rectangle in half and have mirror images this way. That's one line of symmetry. I could divide my rectangle in half this way and have mirror images. That is a second line of symmetry. My rectangle has 2 lines of symmetry. I cannot divide my rectangle from corner to corner. If I were to fold along this line, my 2 halves do not meet exactly as if a mirror image. They would not fold and touch exactly. I have 2 lines of symmetry in my rectangle. My trapezoid has properties. 1 pair of parallel sides. Which pair is that? This side and this side are parallel. I have 2 acute angles. That would be here, and I have 2 obtuse angles. That would be here and here. Now that we've done our review work, we're going to get into today's lesson. We'll be reviewing What's My Rule routines and analyzing patterns. Let's look for a pattern to help us complete this table. Each person in the U.S. uses about 50 gallons of water per day. Use this information to complete the table. So in 2 days, I would be using 50 gallons and 50 gallons. That would be 100 gallons. Adding 50 plus 50 to get 100 gallons is easy. So every 2 days, 50 plus 50, I use another 100 gallons. Using this pattern, I can figure out easily that in 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would use 300 gallons of water. How about for 10 days? Well, that was 6 days. This makes 7, 8. This makes day 9 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500. Can I use that pattern to help me solve for some harder problems? Using what I already know, that in 10 days I would use 500 gallons. So now the question is 30 days. 10, 20, 30. That's 3 sets of 10. So 3 sets of 500. 10, 20, 30, 500, 500 plus 500. I would use 1,500 gallons of water in 30 days. Can we use the information from what we know to figure out how many gallons of water we would use in 365 days? Pause the video and give it a try. Did you get 18,250 gallons? Let's review our function machine. We have a number that goes in, that's our input, and on our table, that goes into the in column. Something happens inside the function machine. We follow a rule, and after we follow that rule, the number that comes out is our output. That goes here on our table. Well, how can we look at this and apply this to the problem that we just solved? We had a rule, which was times 50. So 2 days, that was our input, times 50 gallons of water. Our output was 100 gallons of water. What do our inputs represent in this story? They represent the number of days. What do the outputs represent? They represent the gallons of water used. There are 4 types of What's My Rule problems you may see. In this first one, we have our rule and we have our inputs. We need to follow our rule to get our outputs. Pause the video and solve for this table. Let's check our work. 30 goes in, minus 15, 15 comes out. 90 goes in, 75 comes out, 50 comes out, 95 comes out. The second type of table, we have our rule, but we have our outputs. So we have to think some number plus 100 equals 350. Pause the video and solve for this table. Let's check our work. 250 plus 100 would give me my output 350. 20 goes in, follow my rule, and 120 comes out. 565 goes in, and 665 would come out. 321 goes in, and 421 comes out. The third type of What's My Rule puzzle may give you your in and your out, and you have to figure out the rule. The rule needs to apply to all the examples on your table. What's the rule in this puzzle? The rule is times 7. And my last type of What's My Rule puzzle may have missing inputs, missing outputs, and missing rules. To give some context to the story, we're going to be talking about pounds and the cost per pound. So 1 pound equals $3.75, so that's my rule. We could be talking about a pound of candy, a pound of nuts, a pound of apples. 2 pounds, what would my cost be? $7.50. How many pounds would cost $18.75? I know it's more than 2. It is 5. 11 pounds, and that would cost $41.25. These are the journal pages I'd like you to work on today. We're going to work on journal page 63 right now for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to go over the first 2 problems. Pause the video and begin working. Let's check our work on number 1 and 2 on page 63. Here are the completed tables. What patterns do you see? I noticed that when I multiply an even number times 5, my answer is even. And when I multiply an odd number times 5, my product is odd. Number 2. What patterns do you see? Something I noticed? All of these outputs are odd. Please pause the video and work on journal page 64 for 10 minutes. Let's check our work on journal page 64. Here are the patterns. The first example, we had triangle, square, trapezoid, and that continued to repeat. For number 2, I had 1 triangle, 1 square, 2 triangles and a square, 3 triangles and a square, 4 triangles and a square. For number 3, I can look at the pattern this way. I start with 1 square, and now I keep my 1 square and I add a column of 2. Keeping this pattern, I now add a column of 3. And to this shape, I now add a column of 4. To this shape, I now add a column of 5 blocks. Here is a possible explanation. And how many squares we would find in the 6th and 10th step, and an explanation of how you found the squares in the 10th step. Please pause the video and work on journal page 65. Let's check our work for problems 1 and 2 on journal page 65. Here are your exact answers, and here is a sample of how to make a good estimate. You want to make the numbers easy so that you can do your estimate mentally. Your estimate helps you see if your answer is reasonable. Yes, my answer is reasonable, because 11,427 is close to my estimate of 12,000. I estimated up, I rounded up, so my estimate should be higher than my answer here. Please pause the video and work on math boxes on page 66. Let's review the answers to your math boxes. Today we talked about analyzing patterns and used the What's My Rule routine. Please get an exit slip. Please solve and hand in your exit slip.